Good day, y'all. I found some good information of late that is quite helpful to the mind, heart, body, spirit. It's things I've always known, but that in conjunction, these two things I found really do quite a bit to liberate the theological soul. So, if you're familiar with Goethe's Faust, on page 203 of this version, we have the conversation between the student and Mephistopheles, which is supposedly an iteration of the devil or a demon of sorts. So the student says, "My scorn is heightened by your speech. Happy the man that you would teach. I almost think theology would pay." And Mephisto responds, "I should not wish to lead you astray. When it comes to this discipline, the way is hard to find, wrong roads abound, and lots of hidden poison lies around, which one can scarcely tell from medicine. Here too it would be best you heard one only, and staked all upon your master's word. Yes, stick to words at any rate. There never was a surer gate into the temple, certainty." And I found this recently, and this goes along so well with what I've been feeling my whole life, in that when I look at people that go to church, they look like a bunch of zombies. They look like and they pay in tithes of money, which is BS, because money is Satan's currency. It is not good. You don't want it. It is basically fake, phony, baloney, and they do enough to get by and don't even look at it as it gets into your hand and move forward with what your family needs and what you need, but do not pay it any mind, because it's another greatest trick that Satan's pulled. And the current incarnation of the Bible, whether it's the KJV, the NIV, the common ones that they bring in churches and so forth, have all of these traps that Mephistopheles referenced. Religion's full of this. It's full of crap around every corner. I've talked about, I don't like Lot and his daughters. I don't like the whole Abraham and Isaac situation. I don't like Jacob and Esau. There's just so much crap, and it makes me think narrow band. Just take Jesus' words. And I want to make a video soon about how I think Mary is equally as important as Jesus, Mary being his wife, and how she is just as much the Messiah as Jesus is. That's what I think. Why not? Because I think you need two. It takes two. We shouldn't have this sort of patriarchal hoaxery over everything, where it's just the man. Oh, the man is God. Oh, the masculine God. Oh, no, I think it is a harmonization, obviously, of Father Sky, Mother Earth, so forth. So let's read this. Thank you, Shelby, for posting this. The Bible doesn't exist. Okay, obviously the Bible exists. Number one bestseller since bestsellers. If you're reading this, you probably own or have owned a copy yourself. If you're like me, you've got a dozen in different versions and languages, most of which you never actually use. You memorized chunks of it. Maybe you've even formally studied it. But I'm not being facetious when I say the Bible isn't actually real. And if we as Christians can truly re-grasp that reality, I believe we'll return our focus to the true essentials of Christianity. I believe the entire Christian religion could return to its roots, grounded, wise, transformative, rebelling against hypocrisy and abusive power, defined by love of God and neighbor. What do I mean the Bible isn't real? It's not a new idea. I mean that the Bible is a construct. If that makes sense already, you don't have to keep reading. But if I'm sounding crazy, heretical, or interesting, maybe we could keep exploring the idea together. We can start at the beginning of sorts, back in the time of Jesus. We're in Israel, Palestine, the 1st century, somewhere around the year 33. Well, I think you know why I paused there. What do you think? Who do you think wrote it? Who do we got in front of us? Who's the powers that be? Of course, they're going to mix truth and lies. They're going to give you some things that are juicy and sweet, and you really suckle on, and they feel amazing. But then they're going to give you a bunch of crap to trod through, because that's what they like to do. They fake war. They fake so much. They fake endless things. So of course, the Bible is going to be just garbage. So much of it's going to be garbage. And yeah. Rome is in charge. The Jews are feeling deeply oppressed. There is no such thing as Christianity. By the way, Rome, I think that just refers to these Masons, Romans roaming around. Every Sabbath and throughout the week, Jews gather around the scriptures that have been growing over the past millennia or two. If they are in a synagogue, a rabbi reads aloud from one of their scrolls in the religious language of Hebrew. And then by reading the Bible, no one should be called rabbi, no one should be called master. So this is already, it's ridiculous. Their synagogue probably has only a handful of scrolls, which are expensive to make. A scroll of the Torah, which in English we call Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, the Psalms and few others, perhaps Daniel or Judges or Proverbs, might be all their local synagogue owns, but they are familiar with far more scriptures and stories passed on through oral tradition or shared by rabbis passing through. At home, no one possesses written scripture. They recite what they can and retell what they have memorized, maintaining the structure and message but allowing the stories to morph and adapt. First centuries rabbis and scholars of the Jewish scriptures are familiar with not just their scriptures, but also with the ever-growing body of literature called the Midrash. In Midrash, rabbis write, or not rabbis, but Jewish leaders write their interpretations of the texts, and more Jewish leaders write their expansions, and more Jewish leaders write about those Jewish leaders' interpretations and expansions. The Jewish scriptures are truly alive, changing in bits and pieces over centuries to reflect the concerns and circumstances the Jews encounter. Almost as if we can keep writing it as we speak, and we're not beholden to some old script, and why, so forth. Then Jesus, the Jew, comes on the scene. Almost before he is known, he is gone. He wrote nothing. Over the next 20 to 30 years, the number of his followers slowly grows, gathering around themes of love and care for the poor, repeating teachings that a friend of a friend of a friend heard from the rabbi Jesus years ago, or the Jewish leader heard from Jesus years ago. Some people start to write down the most common teachings circulating in the early movement of Jesus followers so that they can be shared. A couple of decades after Jesus, Paul becomes influential, and Paul says the exact opposite of him and makes it controversial and makes the Bible more interesting in retrospect. And writes, but full of junk and trash. And writes helpful letters to churches. Yes, because churches are pitching his ideas because they want you to bow to authority and not let women speak and eat sacrifices and celebrate Christmas and just ignore what Jesus says. A bit after that, an author collects the most common teachings of Jesus and stories about him and compiles them into a narrative biography called the Gospel. In the next decade or two, more letters are written, more Gospels are compiled. By the beginning of the 2nd century, Christian literature is growing rapidly, nearly entirely in Greek. The trade language of the day, Christians are multiplying across the Roman Empire, as is persecution. Many Christians are sacrificing their lives for the rabbi or for the Jewish leader whose teachings were passed on to them through stories and occasional circulating text. Some closely follow the teachings of Paul, many churches nowadays. Some have never heard of Paul. Some follow the leadership of James. Some have never heard of James' letter. Some find comfort in the text called the Shepherd of Hermas. Some never hear of it. Some have never read any of the 3 Gospels, one more about to be written. None of these Christians have ever encountered a Bible because there is not one. It's so far removed from what would be the genesis of that. And the reality is there's good people everywhere, all around, all times, throughout life. I mean, you could use Jesus maybe as the token golden boy, but throughout life there's going to be beautiful, amazing people around, and those are the ones that spread good word and want to care for people, and they are willing to sacrifice their day or sacrifice their time to help somebody else out. That's the essence of it, right? Then in the 4th century, everything changes. Roman Emperor Constantine becomes a Christian and begins to formalize the religion. Christian leaders become powerful figures. So then there you go. This is the essence of your Bible. They get the rulers to make it. It reads like it. It reads like dog crap. And they begin, why do we need to know the rule of 7 years to win over a woman? Just bullshit in Genesis. Christian leaders become powerful figures, and they begin to use that power to formally reject heretical groups and texts. Leaders develop lists of Christian texts they consider commonly accepted, universally applicable, and written by an apostle, usually. These texts, though the lists differ between leaders, become the rule by which other sects and texts can be evaluated. Leaders hotly debate the relevance and authority of many texts, such as Revelation. One of the earliest collections of Christian texts we have today is known as Codex Sinaiticus, which contains the book of the New Testament we're familiar with, as well as the text of the Epistle of Barnabas and the Shepherd of Hermas. Over the centuries, the list of authoritative Christian texts becomes more and more similar. By the year 1534, Martin Luther made the most recent change in texts, moving nearly a dozen texts out of the Old Testament and into a subcategory called the Apocrypha. He felt that these texts were not considered equal to the Holy Scriptures, but who's Luther, but are useful and good to read. He similarly felt that Hebrews, James, Jude, and Revelation were disputed books, and placed them at the end of the New Testament to emphasize his hesitation. A few centuries later, in the present day, somehow, this is it. Evangelical Christianity has come to live and die by the belief that the Bible is unchanging, infallible, and essential. And not only that, I've said it again, I'll say it a million times. My partner went to church. I went to church briefly, not like many times, but I went. Most people don't read the Bible. Most people are just going along with it because they think they're being a good little person, or they just get the little wear their outfits and look good. It's fake. It's fake as shit. And Danny, my partner, knowing that I read it, she's like, "What? I don't know. I don't know anybody in her family. Don't know anybody who's read it. It's not even that long. 1,500 pages. What? 1,300 pages? Just read 5 pages a day. You're done with it in. You're done with it in I think less than a year. It doesn't take that long. It just doesn't. Yeah, less than a year. But people aren't committed to it. It's too dry. It's not interesting. As it isn't. It's not interesting. It's not interesting to read the Begats. It's not interesting to read so much of it. It's not interesting to read God constantly, again and again and again, angry at the people over and over and over and over again because they drink, because they party, because they erect false statues. It's just like easy shit to not do. Just don't make statues of fake leaders. Don't idolize teas. Don't just obvious shit. It's not even hard. Um, it's become to live and die in belief that the Bible is unchanging, infallible, and essential. So when I say that the Bible doesn't exist, what I mean is that the Bible is a term we use to refer to a collection that has begun, formed, changed, and shifted gradually over 2 millennia. And I love much of the Essene gospel that people tend to ignore. But it has Mason M's throughout it, so it's sure to be filled with bullshit. Like it tells you that you can drink dairy milk, which I just don't doesn't make sense to me. I'm drinking my partner's milk right now. She's got extra, but I'm not going to drink dairy from a cow from another animal. You know, she has there's melatonin in her milk, and it helps me relax and fall asleep because I've had some poor sleep habits in 3 stretches of my life, and it's very calming to have that. But it doesn't taste like all the pasteurization and grossness of dairy milk as a child. It's just how gross and processed, and just the mechanical machine and cows being just disgusting to think people do this. There's no holy book given by God. There you go. Bam. Spanking. It's in you. You think that he gives a shit? Or she, whatever? You think the mother, what I'm saying, father, mother, father, either or, you think they give a shit if you read it? No. They care about what you do. They care about how nice you are. They care about the good deeds you do. And I have a lot of work to do in terms of good deeds. I know I do. I have a lot of work to do in terms of being a good dad. And I have a lot of work to do in terms of just being a good person to be around and help out and be a source of inspiration and information. But I know that's the essence of it. It's been doctored and bullshitted, and like the last thing I said about the Exodus and the lamb's blood, it's just disgusting. What do you think that is? That's Satan. That's some Satan bullshit. Satan just means oppressor, a liar. It's just a character. It's a character. Don't get all freaked out by the demon with the horns and all the Hollywood depictions of it. Don't be freaked out by that. Just think of it as just lying. Like just lying and trying to like seek out for your own selfish gain. And all that represents. The earliest Christians would have known that better than anyone, and they still boldly claim Christ living and dying after his example. There was no divine stamp of approval of these texts at any point. And by the way, the modern day Christianity is Satanianity, where they really emphasize Jesus' death. Oh, he died for us. Oh, he died for us. He's still alive, dipshit. He's always been alive. He doesn't die. God doesn't die. God's always here. They try to make all this crazy crap to scare you. And it's just that's all it is. It's just to scare you. It gets in your head. It's everywhere. You got a church in every block with the cross on the outside. They keep reminding you of his death because they want to scare you. Don't go in those places. But go outside, go to the mountains, go to the trees, go to the animals, talk to them. They're way more interesting than these freaks, these repugnant, ugly teas that just continue on with their fake nonsense. There was no divine stamp of approval at these texts at any point. Inspiration was not a criteria for which books were gathered into canon. Instead, there is a community of people worldwide and historical who have written texts, read texts, shared texts, destroyed texts, memorized texts, edited texts, group texts, rejected texts, and treasured texts. There you go. Look at that blue. Bam. That's it. The Bible doesn't exist. That means statements like these are no longer make any sense. The Bible teaches blank. Some scriptures may teach that. Some may teach something else. Some may not address it at all. That's why it's like, I was rolling so hard with the KJV because I just was like, man, RFTK Ohio, Hans Wormhat, he really got me going. he was right about the T's being in my family. But you know what? The KJV, doesn't speak to me that much. It really doesn't. There's some good parts. There's some Jesus in it, but so much of it. The Psalms is good. Job is all right, but Job, can any regular person be Job? No. Job is irrational. You couldn't have all the fucking wealth that Job had. No way. Are you kidding me? In T-land? It's not possible. Not you shouldn't want it. Why would you want that? You'd gloat over everybody and just, I got all the cows, I got all the food, I got everything. No, you don't. Get out of here. It's nonsense. It's just a story at the end of the day. It's a story. They're characters. Biblical, blank. Whether it be worldview or womanhood or marriage or finances or leadership, there is essentially no single philosophy taught by every text now in the Bible. There was no Bible. Jesus never taught anyone anything that was biblical. But Bible says blank. John may say that, or Proverbs, or Paul or Peter, etc. We live in an era where the Bible is used to authoritatively end conversations, questions, and trajectories. I hate it. Disgusting. Spew it out. Garbage. It is a tool at best, but a mixed, muddled one. And as Mephistopheles said, I should not wish to lead you astray when it comes to this discipline. The way is hard to find. Wrong roads abound, and lots of hidden poison lies around. Not only do you get it to rhyme, which one can scarcely tell from medicine. Here too it would be best if you heard one and only and staked all upon your word. Yes, stick to words at any rate. There's never was a surer gate into the temple, certainly. Work on your words. That's what you got to do. Work on your words, make your words better. See if they ring true. Keep rhyming. It feels good. Scientific theories. Scientific, by the way, means know that it is fiction. Scientific literally means that in Latin. Theories contradict the Bible. A few decades ago, the segregation was considered against the Bible. But if the Bible doesn't exist, the scriptures are cherished but not blindly submitted to, we are free. Yes, terrifyingly free, perhaps. No, free, beautifully free. Free to make a world that is beautiful by using scripture. And also by using our minds, reason, experience, intuitions, and collective wisdom. Will that kind of human-guided future be straightforward? Absolutely not. Thank goodness. It would be far easier to have a divine instruction manual, but there is none, and thank goodness for that. How freaking boring. Oh, just go to the mountain. And there's a golden paper that's being projected into the ether, into the air, and look at it, and it will tell you how to act, because we don't want you to think for yourself. We want you to just follow this golden scripture and run with it, and not think for yourself. Just follow it. Go to church and pat your friend on the back and put your tithe in and go, I put my tithe in, and wear your stupid dress and stupid garb. But no, makes no sense. It's nonsensical. And these people are fake. They don't even really get along with each other because they're fake and they're in the fake world. They're all confused. So you know what? Don't be confused. Think for yourself. Think for yourself. Words are your guide. When I first started honestly studying the history of the Bible, I was terrified. I felt like my faith was crumbling with each realization I made. I felt like I'd been lied to by the book I so deeply loved. Yeah, you have. But slowly I've recognized that the text never lied to me. The texts are still real, historical, meaningful, informative, and transformative. Fine, but people changed it, edited it. People thought this was good. People thought that was good. So you already undone your own little thing here, Shelby, but still, this is good that you're having this conversation. The lies came later when I was told the texts were a perfect, infallible, and unchanging unit. Yes. Essence. Just total horse crap. It might seem like I'm angrily ripping the Bible into pieces. On the contrary, I care more deeply about these scriptures more than ever. That's why I'm writing about hoping to recover these sacred texts for what they are: human history, ancient wisdom, and some of the most beautiful teachings of the love the world has ever seen. Yes, Jesus' scripture, Jesus' words are some of the most beautiful teachings you'll ever read. It's so true to not seek vengeance on your neighbor. It's not seek vengeance on somebody that's wronged you. To pray for those that have hurt you. It's hard to do it, and it makes sense to do that. Some of the best lessons that Jesus has to teach. But at the same time, you have to look at the whole Bible and the fact that they tell you in the Bible that Jesus accepted all of it, and it's not. That's just bullshit. And Paul and all, and it just no thanks. And maybe you read the part about Jesus not seeing Paul in the desert, and you just think of that part being null. But then I've gone into it. It's just there's so much in it that's just highly questionable. They easily could have put it in to have this lordship over peasants, like they always do. I mean, of course they're going to give you it. They're going to give it with fancy fro cover and all the nice looking filigree, because they want you to believe it. They want you to think this is gold, this is beauty, but in reality it's muddled, it's broken, it needs help, it's barely surviving, it's not well composed. People should be having way more church community outside of, not even church community, way more community outside of churches. Churches should be knocked down. I vow to just remove churches. They're disgusting. They disgust me. I've always felt phony around them. I hate them. I hate them with the passion. Fuck churches. Okay? Let's do something better. Let's create words. Let's create things together. Let's make amazing architecture. Let's make amazing worlds. Let's make fungus buildings, mushroom buildings. Let's make flower buildings of every type. Let's make ecologically conscientious buildings, buildings that are catered to animals and beyond, roads that are solar roads, roads that don't need to be, have no roadkill on them because they're 8 feet, 10 feet in the air above the height of a bear, where they can go underneath. There's land bridges. You don't need to kill things. This world is ran on a stupid religion. It's a stupid, stupid fake religion. And you know what? I'm over it. I'm freaking over it. Blah, I'm free. I'm free of it. Words are truer. There's wisdom in Jesus' words. There's wisdom in the Bible, but it's hidden. It's hidden, hidden, hidden. It's tucked away. It's not easy to find. Most people don't want to read. My partner still hasn't read it. She's older than me. Why hasn't she read it? Because it's dry and disgusting. Doesn't want to deal with it. And there's parts of it that are just fanatical and doesn't matter. Okay, David and Goliath, whoop-de-doo. The idea being just because something's bigger than you and scarier than you doesn't mean you can't fend yourself and you can't take care of it. And just if you have belief and you're on top of what you're doing, then you can still handle it. Fine, that works. But it's such a bland, boring story. There's a million better ways to tell it. Jonah and the whale. I mean, same idea. It's just whoop-de-doo. There's so many and just like, I don't care. It means nothing. Jesus' words are all that matters in the Bible to me. And maybe I'll grow to learn a little bit more and love more. But for now, I found this. I think it's amazing. And I've been reading Faust of late, and I love what Mephistopheles, I know he's supposed to be the devil, here had to say. Because it's so true. It's just filled with poison. And I guarantee the Torah, the Quran, all these other texts, they're just filled with dog shit. Like that's what they do. It's the lordship over the peasants. Duh. I've always known this. It's nothing new. It's just I'm sick of people that are just like stick to every word and they think they're gonna go to heaven because they stick to every word. Like fuck you, honestly, fuck you, because you're not even thinking for yourself. You need to get out of your way, your own way. You're literally in your own way. And then the people that celebrate Christmas, it's not Christmas, it's Xmas, it's Trannymas, or any of these stupid holidays. That's what they are. They're not for good-spirited people. They're all evil, dark-spirited. Every single main holiday I can think of is either Hallmark-derived, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, or St. Patty's Day, or in a Cinco de Mayo, it's just alcohol. And then Halloween, yes, it's fun to dress up. I don't have a problem dressing up. But you know what? It's Samhain. It's some creepy devil crap. It really is. It's not good. It's the origin of Halloween, the origin of Christmas are way worse than what they are depicted as now. But it's kind of this cookie cutter candy crap that they have now, and you don't need to celebrate it. Just get out of these holidays. They're so bad for you. They like limit your life and they ruin your chi. I'm telling you, like. You got to get yourself out of their shit. Just don't even acknowledge it. Like if you have to do so for work, just do it blankly. Like do it like whatever, okay. But that's beyond that. Don't celebrate it. It's gonna break you down. It's not good for you. So you can feel free to tell me why it's wrong. Feel free to open me up. Feel free to break me down. Please do it. But I'm telling you, this what this lady said to me, was this lady is writing right here. It's perfect. This is it. There's so many interpretations. You cannot take it word for word verbatim and say, well, I'll call it a day. I read the Bible and I remember the verses. Blah, 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 blah. I'm so good. Oh, dude, make your own words. Make your own life. It's just a moral compass. And if it doesn't do that for you, I get the 10 Commandments, Jesus, that's solid. Use that. But beyond that, man, it's not that great. It's just not. It's bloated. It's like World of Warcraft or something. I never played that, but it's just overly bloated nonsense, waste of time thing. There's no wonder people didn't read it. It's not of the wind. It's not like something that you can breeze through, and it's just slow and arduous and annoying, and it's just not written that well. It honestly isn't written that well throughout it. It's got nice passages. It's got good parts of it, but to hinge all your bets on reading that verbatim, or just what I think most people do is they just go, oh, my NIV, my KJV, I've got that, and I have one by my bed, and I just look at it sometimes and read a verse before I go to bed, and that's enough for me. Do more, man. You got to do more. Get above it. Come on. Be an individual. Grow up. Grow the fuck up. All right. Well, I'm going to make more impassioned videos. I hope you're having a good time with your family and friends as always. And I hope you're thinking for yourself, because you got to. Like, you can't just, of course, okay, to finish, of course, there's people throwing hand signs and being devil things, and maybe they are devil, fallen angel things. And that's what people give truth to that, credence to the Bible. There's truth there. When they talk about the synagogue of Satan, the Bible, the 33 fallen angel, whatever. There's truth in that. Fair enough. But those people, when you see that kind of stuff, just look at them strangely, look at them confused, be like, what are you doing? Call them out sometimes. Call them out. Feel like calling them out. Call them out. It's like an AI, man. Just walk right past it. Push it over, man. You have the power. What are you here to do? Be good. Be truthful. Be something be an inspiration for God. Do something cool, man. Make amazing works, and rest too. Rest well, so that you can make amazing works. You know, there's just so much, and I don't want to ramble on. But yes, this is amazing wisdom. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening. Or that's where I'm at. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.